In this video, we are going to talk about Home Lab for our Cybersecurity 701 course, which is practical, and we use our practice labs to teach the skills effectively. But we also recommend if you have the resources, you should definitely get your own setup because in cybersecurity, sometimes you have to configure things and you have to retain that information, learn it from somebody else, and different type of platforms. So it's always good to have your own setup, so then you're always learning. Now, of course, you can come back to your practice lab and use it as you wish. Even in this, there's a lot of powerful resources, but the retention is going to be an issue if you are going to be keeping some sort of scripts that you have created or downloaded and things like that. That would be something you will have issues. But if you are new and you don't want to take that stress, we highly recommend you don't do your home lab first, then finish your course with all of the things that we provide, so at least you are very comfortable with how to use Linux, moving around different type of machines and everything. And once you have that comfort going on, then you can go with the home lab. Now, if you are a student that don't have our practice lab access and you are not willing to take this solution from us, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Many people are doing it with no practice labs. So of course then you will have to understand that all of this type of resources are expensive. So if you have the laptop and resources, then you can definitely create your own home lab and then just use that. In this video, that's going to be the purpose. So for whatever reason you want to use it, whether you want to retain the information for skills that you're learning, or whether you don't have our solution and you want to just replicate the things like how we are doing it. So we are going to cover this in this video. We are going to show you how to install a server so you can make a domain controller with Active Directory. Then we will show you how to create a normal Windows 11 machine. So then you will use that to connect like a normal client machine. And then we will also show you how to configure Kali for the first time. So then after that, you have these three machines running so you can use it. We're not going to discuss this one and we'll not discuss this one. This is just additional machines in our platform that we're using. Of course, when we see something in this server or that server, you're free to create multiple servers if you have the capability. So now that is cleared, let's go ahead and start with the first thing, creating an Active Directory ACI DC01. We're going to name it the same way. So we will create our first Active Directory in our home lab. You'll go to Google and click on VirtualBox or look for VirtualBox, and here you're going to click on download on the left side. And we are going to only use Windows in this demo. You're free to use the other ones, but do reach out to the communities if you have any issues. They have documentations and forums available right here. So let's go ahead and click on Windows, and we are downloading the latest version. Go ahead and open this and run this application. I already have one running, but I'm just going to do this on top of that one. So I'm just going to show you how you're going to do it from scratch. Click next, 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 and finish and install. So this will install your VirtualBox. Now, before starting, I want to give you some tips. If your computer don't have virtualization enabled, you may have to go to your BIOS and enable virtualization. So once you click on finish and let's say you start installing things or it gives you error or something like that, look into the error, go to the Google and type exact same error. In most cases, you need to just enable your virtualization. And in other cases, you may be having less memory or less CPU, and that is something, of course, you will have to either upgrade or get a better resource. For any other issues, make sure to go to the VirtualBox communities or forums. They have documentations as well. So let's go ahead and finish this and run VirtualBox. Now that we have VirtualBox running, we will go back to Google and type Server 2022 Evaluation Download and scroll down and click on the second link where it says basically when you open this, it is going to directly open this page where you can click on ISO and download it. So once you click on it, your download will start. Give it some time because it's a large file and it will take some time. Once your download is completed, we will go ahead and open VirtualBox, and here we are going to click on machine and click on new. And inside new, we are going to name it the same way how it's named in our course, because when a trainer is using, let's say, ACI DC01, then it's really easy for you to replicate if you want to do it that way. So we're going to call it ACIDC 01, just like that. And basically the image, ISO image, is where when we downloaded that file. So let's go ahead and find that. And once you add the ISO, it is going to detect the edition. If not, then you can go and detect it yourself. Now, if you can't see 64-bit here and you only see 32-bit, this means you need to enable your virtualization at the BIOS level or at the hardware level. You need to check that on Google and figure that out in your system. So here we're going to skip unattended installation. We're going to click next here, and let's just move this to 4 and virtual vCPU 2. And because the reason is I have a lot of RAM in my laptop here. So 64 GB RAM laptop. And if you even if you have 16 GB RAM, it should be okay. You're still going to have issues with it, but it should be okay. If you put like 22 or 4422, just see which is going to work for you without lagging and stuff like that. So we're going to go ahead and click next here. And here 50 GB is fine in this laptop. If you have less space, you can go 30 to 35. Here we are going to click next and then click finish. So once we finish, we're going to go ahead and click on start this machine. All right, so I think I did one mistake, which is basically I need to define the network. So let's go ahead and shut it down. That's fine. You can turn it off. You haven't installed anything yet. So we're going to right click on it, go to settings here. In settings, go to network, and you see how it's NAT. We don't need to use NAT because we want all the machines to be talking to each other easily without any issues. So we're going to change from NAT to bridge adapter. So once you do this, you see I'm using a Wi-Fi adapter, and that's fine. I can just use this Wi-Fi. If you have a different Wi-Fi or Ethernet or something like that, you can actually use that sort of adapters. If you have one, Ethernet would be more preferred. If you have like a Ethernet connection with wire, that would be preferred. Wi-Fi would be the least preferred, but that's the only thing I have. So here I'm gonna basically make sure that it's all of this is the same, nothing should change, and then click OK. Now I can go back to my machine and start it again. So here you go, our machine started again, picking up on ISO. This is something you already learned from our IT support skills, pretty much like many times. I hope you have that memory. So now we need to just install the server. So click next, install now. And let's just pick the data center desktop experience. We're going to click next, accept the agreement, click next. Because you're installing a fresh installation, click custom and pick the 50 GB. That's fine. And then click next. So now this is going to install a server operating system. And that's something if you have taken our Windows Server or Systems Administrator courses, you already know about server a lot. If not, then maybe you should take it in case you want to learn more about servers. So we are going to minimize this, and now we're going to go back and download the Windows 11 machine because we also want to create that in our lab. Now it's the same process. Going to Google, type Windows 11 evaluation trial, and then it will open a form. So if you want to avoid the form, then you can basically open the same link where you downloaded the server. Basically, this is the link. And at the end, instead of using Windows Server, you type Windows-11 Enterprise. So I'm going to show you without adding that annoying form. You can come over here and you see my link. You can see it, but I am on the server page. All I gotta do is to replace the Windows Server side to Windows 11-Enterprise. This is exactly what I did. At the end of my link, I just added only this. If I click enter, I'm in Windows 11 without using the form. And now if I click on 64-bit, I can download it. So once it's downloaded, we can go ahead and create a new virtual machine, and we can call it ACI Win 11. And then we can select a ISO that we have downloaded for Windows 11. All right, under ISO image, I have selected Windows 11, so it automatically picks it up for us. So we're going to skip the unattended installation. Click next, and we'll keep this default right here. If you have more RAM, maybe you want to put more RAM if you want to. And here you see it says enable EAFI Now, this is something that's automatically picked for Windows 11 because it needs it. So we're going to go ahead and click next. And this doesn't need to be 80. You can make it 45. And then we can click next here and finish. Again, we're going to make sure that we add a bridge network. So we're going to go to networks and we'll do bridge network, making sure that our Wi-Fi is the same. And we'll click OK and then start the machine. So once it says press any key, you got to be very quick. Click inside the black box and click enter. So if you miss it, restart the machine again and then click quickly. So you're going to get this. If you get any errors at this point, you have to go to Google and troubleshoot it. That's why you have your own personal machine. We don't know what you're using, what hardware. So make sure to go to Google and use that. So we're going to do the installation. And here we are going to accept it and click next and custom and click next again. So this will install Windows 11 and then we'll do the setup. So let's go back to our Windows Server, double click on it, and it's ready to go. Now, what you can do at this point, if you don't want to reinstall the Windows Server again and again, what you can do at this point is you can just basically right click on this, and then you have options right here where we can come over here and take a snapshot or an image. So let's see if this have that capability um, when it's running. I believe when it's running, you can clone in VirtualBox. That's fine. What we can do right now, we can go ahead and double click on it, and basically we can shut it down. So, but I want to, oh, here you go, take a snapshot. So we're going to take a snapshot one, and we'll say fresh image. Fresh image. Now I use Hyper-V, vSphere, and many other commercial solutions, and they have the same solutions. You can put a description and click OK. Now, what I'm doing over here is in case I mess up, in case I just don't want to install everything again, I can come back to the snapshot in just a few seconds. So now we have a snapshot ready. I'm going to give it a password. Make sure to remember the password when you give it to here. In the server, when you give the password, it's going to basically do all control delete. So in VirtualBox, you need to do actually input keyboard and then control alt delete is right here. So once you do that, you will put control alt delete, and you can see on the right side we have internet connection because we're using a bridge network. Now, as you can see, this is a fresh image, and from the IT support skills, you need to actually change the name inside the VM to match it with your virtual system. So when you see this, click yes, and we got a generic name, so we need to change that first. So let's go ahead and click on that, and we're going to call it ACI, or what we're going to do, we're just going to call it DC, because if we're going to make this a domain controller, we really don't want a big name like ACI DC01. Let's just call it DC. But now you need to actually remember that this is DC. So even if you're doing a lab, make sure that don't type ACI DC01. It's not going to work. You need to type DC, because the reason I'm doing it is to make it super simple for creating a domain controller. And the smaller it is, the better system you're going to have, no issues and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to restart this and just let it run like that. So again, I'm going to remind you, if you see in the lab, let's say an instructor is pinging ACI DC01 and you're pinging ACI DC01 in this machine, and if you're following me, it's not going to work. You actually have to ping DC, simple, like DC machine name should be DC. So keep that in your mind. So that DC is your reminder right here. So we changed the name. Now what we're going to do, we're going to come back to our keyboard, do all control delete, and we will convert this server into a domain controller with Active Directory. So before converting this server to a domain controller and Active Directory, the things I'm about to show you is a lab type of way. It's not a commercial or enterprise level stuff. So if you're a person looking at it and like, why is he using it? this unprofessional, unsecure way, that's just because for this lab and to make things easy for you as a beginner. If you really are interested in how to configure server and domain controller in a really nice and professional way, then you should take our server related courses, and then that you're becoming a sysadmin. So that is going to be a proper techniques then. So here, what we are going to do, we're going to come and open this server. By default, it's going to open Server Manager. In Server Manager, you know how to create a server and convert it into a domain controller. You need to go to the Manage, click Add Roles and Features, and then you're going to click Next, Next, and click Next. And then here we're going to pick the Active Directory Domain Services, Add Features, click Next, 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 and Install. So it is going to install this server with a DNS, Active Directory, and that's going to be our domain controller just like you have in your lab, and that is going to be a very powerful machine. Then you're going to add this Windows 11 to the domain controller. So what you're doing here is that you're setting up a normal type of setup, how things are done in a real company. In a real company, people have domain controllers, and we add all of our machines to that domain controller Active Directory, and then we manage it. So then after that, we will install Kali, and then you will have a great way to troubleshoot or just getting into the system, vulnerability, breaking into Active Directory, and all that sort of stuff is later on stuff for you. But at this point, you will have a good understanding of how things are connected, and that's how it works in reality. Now, keep in mind that in security, it's not just you scanning a machine in Active Directory. It's way more than that. There's wireless. There's different type of devices. There's BYOD devices. There's many other way cloud devices, cloud things, cloud applications, websites. So you will have to go through the whole course to understand every other things. But you will not be able to make every single lab in your home to replicate those things. That's just not a good way for a beginners, because you're just going to get too stressed by touching different type of technologies that requires a lot of experience. So my recommendation is just take it slow, go into the labs, and then master those labs that you have access. If you are using your home lab, then just focus on what you have first and master it. And after that, maybe once you get too comfortable, then move out to something more advanced. Once you get to this point, you need to click on promote this server to the domain controller. And here we're going to click on add new forest. And then here you can probably put it like jssecurity.local or .org. It's up to you. So whatever name you want to give, that's up to you, your name, all that kind of stuff. So just for this purpose, I'm just saying jssecurity.org. And of course, in your lab, when you're doing a practice lab, it's going to say practicelab.com or something like that, or ACI something.com. Then it's going to ask you for this password. This password has to be a little more complex, so you don't need to remember it, but keep a note of it. Then we're going to click next here, and then it's going to go out and pick a net BIOS for us. So there you go. We're going to click next. Then we'll click next again, and then next again, and then finish it and install it. So we'll go ahead and install this. Once it's finished, you're going to see this message, and then your machine will restart automatically, or you can just restart it just like that. Now at this point, we have a domain controller with Active Directory running, so this means we can move on to our Windows 11 after confirmation. All right, so we have a domain controller running, do all control delete, and this verifies that our domain controller is running. So let's go ahead and log in with the password. So once you log in, you can wait a little bit, and then the server manager automatically opens up because of this option. You can't, disable it if you want to, but just leave it on. So here, if you click on tools, you see we got Active Directory users and computers and also DNS. So I'm going to open users and computers, Active Directory users and computers. We should wait a little bit for it to finish up. So here, this is the confirmation that we got an Active Directory up and running. And this is where the default users are available. And usually that's how you are going to be dealing with security. Like you're going to have users in Active Directory computers, and a normal IT professionals like help desk, sysadmins, network engineers, IT managers. Are they doing it correct ways? Are they using the correct policies, correct procedures? Is there any default things going on? Definitely, that's something a lot of companies are using, and that's what people will look for, and that's what you're defending and also finding vulnerabilities in most cases. So, of course, like I said, this is just one piece. So here, try to add one account. So we're gonna do like, let's say IT admin. This is an IT admin account. We're not gonna use the other one, just to show you. And of course, if you have taken our courses, you have a solid idea of how to use Active Directory troubleshooting and all that kind of stuff. Even as a security professional, you did this in our security fundamental courses as well. So here you can create an IT admin account. Just give it a default password. Oh, not that one. IT admin, and we were just using a default password. You should use your whatever you want to use. So remember, this is IT admin, not a security person, because the security is going to be either a vendor or somebody from outside. When you have the Kali, it's not going to be connected to your domain, because that's not how it's going to be in most cases. So we're going to click next and finish it, and let's make this a domain admin. So member of, and this person is like a king in this whole environment right now. Domain admin. So just do it that way, because we're going to need this account. So that's it. That's the domain controller and Active Directory part and server. It's not even patched, it's not updated. And then we got this Windows 11 right now that it's ready to go. So we're going to double click on it, and then we're going to start configuring Windows 11. And why would we need to configure this? We're going to configure it so users are going to be using Windows 11. The normal IT professionals use Windows 11. Everybody uses Windows 11 or 10. And then, of course, when you have the Kali running, then you need to also look into this. How do you find things in this type of thing? Because in this operating system, there will be applications, web applications, many other things that you will come across in our labs, and you will try to replicate it the same way. And even if you don't have or you don't want to do this, you can simply just scan the operating system and the connections in Active Directory. It's still good enough for you to learn. So now let's move on to Windows 11. If you see this black screen, so go ahead and click on machine and reset. Let's just do that. Now this process can take some time, so make sure to give it its time. Don't restart it while it's running like this. We're gonna pick United States, click yes, pick US, and I'm gonna skip this one. When you see this screen, we are gonna use sign-in options, and we're going to use a domain join instead. And basically, this is called the on-premises type of setup, where you go to a company, they have a Active Directory servers running inside the company, and they're using a on-premises systems. And basically, those type of setups require these type of accounts. Now, if you do use the online one, that can be also used even for on-premises, but that's a little different setup. And in most companies, you're gonna go to a company and you will say, oh, okay, what is your setup? They will say, we are hybrid. That's most of the setup these days. So hybrid means that they have Active Directory inside their company, and then their machines are connected to Active Directory. So you as a security professional should know this, because how are you going to know what is their authentication method? And this is where it defines that method right here. So what we're going to do, we're going to create a new account on this machine locally, even though Microsoft is pushing towards online, but that's not what every company is doing. So we're gonna basically call this an admin, and let's give it a password again, and of course we're gonna put the security question. Once that's done, we can, if this is your personal choice, if you want to do this, I'm just gonna accept. So once our machine is ready, just like the other one, we need to change the name by right clicking here, going to the system, and then we are going to change the name to ACI Win 11. So let's go ahead and rename this machine to ACI Win 11, and once we restart this machine, we're going to join it to the domain. So then this is just like how you have it in the practice lab and you watch our instructors and you see them going into Windows 11, you will know that that's exactly how it's connected. Now that we changed the name, let's go ahead and log into the machine and join it to the domain. This is a basic skills you already know from our IIT support skills or from our courses you already taken. So let's go ahead and right click here. And there are multiple ways to do this to join a computer to a domain. So you can open a systems like that. And then basically we're going to join this computer to the domain. So let's maximize this. Once you maximize it, you see there's this domain in work group. Click on it, and this is where we need to come here to change, and then click on domain. And if you remember, our domain was JSS, basically security.org. So let's go back and verify that by double clicking here and do the all control delete. JSS security, that's basically, and then we had it .org. So we're going to come back to our Windows 11. And this is not going to work first, where I'm going to show you why it's not going to work and how you need to fix it. So we're going to do jssecurity.org. So make sure that you type things correctly. So we're going to click OK, and it's going to error out. And the error is very simple. DNS does not exist. And in this lab environment, what we're going to do, we're going to point this machine, which is the Windows 11, to our DNS server. So the thing you need to do is you need to basically log into the server and find the IP address of the server. Oops. Gonna go to the CMD. This is an important step right here. And we're gonna do IP config. So the IP address of this machine is 192.168.170.175. So we're gonna come back to our Windows 11 and we're going to open. Let's go ahead and see if we can open it from here. If not, then we'll have to do the ncpa.cpl Ethernet. And you can see there are DNS options available here, and then it's set to automatic. So by automatic means that it doesn't know anything about this domain controller. And DNS, again, this is all basic stuff that you should know already. So IPv4, we're going to do IPv4, and the preferred IP address, we're going to type it 192.168.1.175, and then we're going to click OK. And then we're going to come back to the domain controller and click OK again. So it didn't work again. So just make sure that everything jssecurity.org, and then we also added a DNS information, which is basically this one, 192.168.175. And if we come back to our domain controller here, 192.168.175, that's okay. And we should also confirm it by going to here, type run, open the ncpa.cpl, oops, and it's a little old school way, but I like it this way because it's a little more cleaner. You come over here, go to IPv4, and that's there. That's fine. So I think our DNS is okay. So one other thing we can do is to turn off the IPv6, because it may be also causing an issue. So turn off that and then click OK. And let's go back to the joining, and boom, that works. So that IPv6 was having an issue basically, and a lot of people get stuck over here. So this is actually a solution, by the way, if you get stuck in the same area. But you got to do the DNS first. Then if it's not working, turn off the IPv6. And now if I come over here, remember we created an IT admin account and the password. So we're going to try to join the machine. Boom, there you go. It's joined by the IT admin account that we have created in Active Directory and Active support and basic systems administration at this point right now. So if you think this is too much and you're at the point where like you're not getting all this stuff, this means you're lacking a lot of basic knowledge that we all have already taught and recommended to our members that you should be taking IT support courses with us before to know all this that I'm doing. If that's the case, then you need to go back to our courses. If you think it's good to go, you know all this stuff, then that's just normal stuff. Let's go ahead and restart. So what you just did at this point, you created a solution. So this means you're this is a hybrid, small mini hybrid company right now. It's a server, it has Active Directory, everything is running in there. You created an account, there could be policies now, and then there's machine is being managed by this Active Directory. This could be a staff member, vendor, whatever you name it, and that's just the normal operations that companies using it right now. Next, we are going to create a Kali Linux, and that is the one that you need to learn the skills on. In this demo, we're only going to teach you how to create a whole Kali Linux so you're good to go. We're not going to configure the whole Kali Linux and install applications and do all that sort of stuff. For that, we are telling people to use our solution for to remove that headache. If you don't want to do this, then you will have to go to the Google, go to different type of videos, whatever system you use. According to that, you need to find out and how to figure things out for yourself. But in this case, I'm just going to show you how to configure the Kali Linux just at the basic level so you have something to replicate and then go out to Google and learn it that way. Now, to download Kali, you need to go to kali.org, and then basically you're going to click on download. Now here you have two options. One is the total installer image where you do everything from scratch. It gives you almost all the access, and that's really up to you. In this case, we're going to use this one, virtual machines. We're basically going to click here because we're using VirtualBox. We will download the recommended VirtualBox image. If you're using something else, then you can download the other ones like Hyper-V. Then there's VMware and other ones too, but we're going to stick to VirtualBox. This is a huge file. As you can see, my net is pretty good, so that's going fast. Your net, depending on your net, it's going to be 2.9 GB. It could be more depending on when you download it. But make sure that you are in kali.org, not somewhere else, to avoid any issues with security. Now, once the file is downloaded, you need to unzip it by going to the location where the zip file is. So you're going to open the folder wherever you have downloaded it and right click and unzip the file. In my machine, Windows 11, you right click and click on extract all. And here I'm going to extract it. So you see the folder is extracted, and after some time, this is where your Kali Linux is going to be. So we're going to use one of these files to open. So there are two ways to do this. One is from the way I created before, or you can right click on this blue icon, and once you right click on it, you see there's this open message, or sorry, open in VirtualBox. If you don't see this, then you should do it from the create a new Kali. But by doing that, it's really easy because it just adds right away. So let's just look at this right now. You see first thing in the bottom right here on the right side, you see there's a username and the password Kali is available right there. And then the setup is already there, whatever they have recommended. But I'm going to right click on it, go to settings. Now, based on your computer capabilities, you need to change things. Now, I do have a lot of RAM, as I mentioned in the beginning. I am going to go to the settings and I'm going to change this RAM to 4 gigs. And then processors, 2 is fine for now. And you see how it has other things enabled. So we'll just keep this like that. And the second important piece is the network. We do want to change this to bridge. So that's going to be on the bridge. You see how we're changing things. So we have done that change. And now I'm going to go ahead and start the Kali Linux. And it's really fast though. So go ahead and click on the Kali. That's what they have given us. And as soon as you did that, you can see we are inside the Kali Linux. So it's opening up. And let's wait for that. There you go. Our Kali Linux is up and running. Now next, you see how this is already they got some tools already in there for many things like wireless attacks, reverse engineering. So many things are already there, so you really don't need to go and hunt down tools in most cases. But if you're following something custom in our labs and that's not in this, you may have to go to Google and figure that out at this point. You got to go out and just get that tool if you want to actually replicate it exactly the same way. So now the rest is going to be just initially getting things ready, opening up the terminal and then, running the sudo command. So let's go ahead and do that. And then, of course, the well-known commands to get this updated app dash get, and then we're going to do update. So once you do this, it's going to ask you for the password, which is Kali, and you put the Kali and then you see it's working. Let this run, finish it, and then of course after that, whichever tutorial or exercises or anything that you're following online, then you just need to specifically focus on that and then get things ready. But at the end of the day, the main part is done right now. You have Kali Linux running in your environment, which is a domain controller, which has Active Directory, authentications and everything going on for a normal company. And then you got a domain computer that is connected to the Active Directory. So in this computer now, you can probably add an applications that could be running internally in this computer or at a web server inside a IIS web server or any other applications that you could think that a companies are going to be using. Then you can then use Kali Linux on top of that, just like a real company. Now, in most cases, people have a laptop when they do vulnerability scannings and all that kind of stuff. They have created all these tools and everything for them. So you're trying to replicate the same way. But if you're a beginner, I would highly recommend you don't just do things on your own. You follow something, whether it's our courses, labs, some YouTube videos, books, whatever it is. You gotta follow some specific step-by-step tasks. Now, with that, we are going to add a 30 plus minutes of fundamentals on Kali, which is going to be our customized course that we're creating for our members. This is not a Security Plus course and not a something that we use like pre-built labs. We are going to be using VirtualBox and we're going to be using some custom training. So this course will be available to our members as well. But here's a bonus for you. You can actually go through this whole video and it's going to teach you some fundamentals about Kali. So at the end of the day, you have your own home lab now, you got the fundamentals, and now whatever you're going to be following after this, whether it's advanced course or whatever it is, I think you are going to be very comfortable. So instructor will take over and go ahead and finish the fundamental.
In this module, we'll discuss the functions, we'll talk about the basics of these tools. But in our upcoming modules, we'll discuss these tools in a more advanced way. We will discuss and we will practically use these tools to perform penetration testing, performing cybersecurity tasks. This is a first step towards understanding the Kali Linux and its functionalities. So there are a couple of categories. Kali Linux has already categorized all the tools into different categories. So we will discuss about all those categories. We'll talk about the tools that can be used and which are widely used in the industry. And it depends on the categories. It depends on the specific requirements for which you are going to use those tools. So you can see on your screen right now, we have all the categories which have been used in Kali Linux to make sure that the tools which are used, which can be used by the security researchers, penetration testers, security analysts, they are well categorized for them to use those tools, to understand those tools. So it's basically the first you can see the types of tool. First category of the tools in Kali Linux is information gathering tool. So these are software applications which have a job of collecting and formatting the data in a form that could further be used. This is similar to cookies used by different websites or your browsing history used by Google to personalize every advertisement and providing the best service to you. Kali operating system provides these tools to the developer and penetration testing community to help in gathering and formulating captured data. Some of the tools which are used or Nmap, which is also called network mapper, Zenmap, state scan, telemetry, Martech. In this video, we'll discuss about one of the two. From this category, we're just going to talk about one tool, which is Nmap. So let's log into our machine, virtual machine that we have created in our previous modules. Okay. So to start, let me just tell you about the categories first. So as you can see here, there are all these categories we have written in our slides that I was sharing a couple of seconds ago. So in this, when you go to the information gathering category, you can see there are DNS analysis, IDS, IPS identification, live host identification, networks and port scanners, open source intelligence analysis, open source tools which are used for the gathering of data based on threat intel data or any other data that's available online. Next is route analysis, SMB analysis. So these are categories, subcategories of the main categories: SSL analysis, MS, telemetry, IK scan, Legion, Multigo, NetDiscover, Nmap, Recon, Spiderfoot. But this one, Nmap, it's widely used in the industry. It's most used tool in the industry. Why? Because there are like a lot of reasons. So it's a very simple command line tool, and from here you can see that there are you can get the idea of the templates, of the syntax, of the command that can be used with Nmap. So this tool basically gives you, this tool performs footprinting and analysis of the specific target. It finds out the open ports, it finds out the services running on those open ports and things like that. So it basically gives you complete information about a specific target, and that's the first step towards understanding, towards performing penetration testing about a specific infrastructure, specific environment, specific web application. So from this syntax you can see in this one, there's it's a website that has been used to scan, and that's being used to scan. But in the next syntax example, you can see IPs ranges are given and those are being scanned. So there are like a lot of filters, a lot of parameters that you can use to perform these kind of scans using Nmap. So it's just it depends. Basically the basic syntax is to use Nmap, and then scan types. You need to define the type of the scan, and then you need to target specification, like about your target. You can pass host name, IP address, networks. So you can pass host name. You can see there's a host name with the ranges, and then with the IPs ranges. You can even put a file, you can give it a file to so you can automatically detect the IPs or host from that file and use those to perform scans. These are like a couple of other categories in Nmap. If you want to discover the host or specific, you're just trying to find the host related to a specific target, then you can use these commands. Like there are multiple commands that you can use, to multiple parameters that you can specify in your scan types to find out information that you need. So if we go down a bit, there are like scan techniques that you can use, UDP scan, or there are like a couple of other categories. It totally depends on like what you actually want to scan right now. So port scan specification and scan order. So if you want to perform port scan on a specific port, like you want to find out, okay, like what's happening on port 22 if it's open for the specific target, then you need to define a port. As you can see here, you need to use this parameter to perform port scan on a specific port. But if you want to scan all the ports of a specific target, you need to give this parameter. You need to define this parameter to perform those scans. And then if you want to exclude specific ports, you need to give this parameter as well. So fast mode will scan fewer ports than the default scans. So it will just use to scan common ports and find out if there is any services running on those. It will not completely scan. Service version detection. So if you want to find out, if there's an SSH port open, and you want to find out, about the version of that SSH package that's being used, or if there is a server running, so you want to find out the version of that specific server. Suppose there is Apache, Nginx, these kind of servers running. So you want to find out the servers, the version of those packages. So this basically help you finding out the version of that specific package. Or if you just want to find out the service running. Suppose if you want to find out if there is a port open, and you want to find out which service is running on that port. So you need to define these parameters. You can use these parameters to find out version of service. Next, you can go with the script scan. There are, like, if you want to use custom scripts, if you want to use specific script, so you can define these parameters and it will scan based on those scripts. OS detection as well. So if you want to perform a specific OS detection, suppose there is any you have defined a target, but you don't know which OS is running on that specific target. So these parameters, this O parameter, or scan parameter, or limit, or scan limit, or scan guess. So these three parameters are going to help you in finding out like which operating system is being used by the target. So these commands are related to the OS detection. Then there is a timing and performance parameters, firewall, IDS evasion, and spoofing. So most of the time these days, every organization have this kind of firewall. Or if you are trying to perform penetration testing, these organization they have firewall evasion, firewalls and IDS implemented on their infrastructure. So you want to evade those detection parameters. So there are a couple of other filters and parameters that you can use to work on those evading techniques to make sure that and these scans goes undetected by these detection. You can say these IDS, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems of firewalls. Then you need, obviously, if you have performed scan, then you need some kind of output. You need a proper output, like in a format. So there are like a couple of parameters that you can use to get an output in like a normal in XML. So if you'd want to define a base name for the file, you can use these parameters. So it depends on you, like what kind of output, what kind of output do you want. Like if you want to just simple output, you don't need to define these parameters. But if you want output in a specific format, then you need to define it in the command line. So we have discussed these we have discussed this tool. This is widely used network mapper, nmap. If you are going to use it from the command line, you just need to type nmap and it will start. Right. Okay, so we have discussed about information gathering in detail. We have used nmap to find out like what kind of information we can gather using nmap. Next category that we are going to discuss is vulnerability analysis. So we will just go to the Kali Linux, and you can see here the second category, number 2, is vulnerability analysis. Also, you can see nmap is also here. So through nmap, we have already discussed nmap, so I will talk about it right now. So for you to understand like how it can help you in finding out the vulnerabilities. So every vulnerability is attached to some kind of version, some kind of I'm just saying like 90%, more than 90% of vulnerabilities are linked with some kind of packages, which are they are like those packages are outdated, or vendor has released some patches but you haven't upgraded the package. So when you use nmap to find out the OS. So when you use nmap for finding out the OS version or service version, so it gives you a package number that this kind of package or this service is running. So through that, it fetches from its database. You can find out by yourself if you have a database. Obviously, databases are available publicly, so you can find out the details for that specific OS version or whatever service is running on specific ports. So that's how Nmap can help you in finding out the vulnerability. Vulnerabilities are basically a state or condition of being exposed to the possibility of being attacked or harmed in one or other way. So these tools, you can see there are like a lot of tools: fuzzing tool, voice over IP tools, Legend, Nikto, Nmap, Unix privilege escalation check. So these tools are used to check a system or machine for any kind of flaw and vulnerability available in them, which could lead to any security breach and data loss. These tools also help in fixing those vulnerabilities as identification make the user aware of the flaw. For example, if Windows releases its new operating system, before providing it into the end user, they send for vulnerability analysis and fixes. So, but most important tool right here is this one, Nikto. So, Nikto is basically, complete package of finding out details about a specific, if you target, if you find out the vulnerability. This is one of the best tool available. One of the best tool available on Kali Linux. So right now we have just started Nikto. We clicked on Nikto, and you can see option host requires an argument. So there are like multiple parameters that you can use with Nmap to find out information about specific target. So you can see scan tuning, interesting files, CNN logs, misconfiguration, information disclosure, injection, cross-site scripting, scripts, HTML, remote file retrieval, inside web root, denial of service, remote file retrieval, server-wide, command execution, remote shell, SQL injection, file upload, authentication, bypass, software identification, remote source inclusion, web service, administrative console, reverse tuning options. So there's a lot of things that you can do with Nikto. It's a complete package, and we are going to use it in our next modules, couple of modules to when we will be penetration testing and performing penetration test on specific targets. So we will discuss it in detail. Just now, you can play with it. You can use its various parameters to find out like how it works. So basic. It has like a basic sentence. You don't need to learn it. Remember long commands. You just need to if you want to start it, you can use Nikto. You can type Nikto in command line, and if you want to perform scans on anything, performed, or just random website. Okay, so it will start. Oh, sorry. So it will you just need to type a specific name of the website after H parameter, host parameter, and it will start scanning a specific website. Or target or any IP. So that was all from our vulnerability analysis category. Next thing which is most important is web application analysis. So web application is a dynamic response web page that helps in a better interactive client-server relationship. These tools identify and access website through the browser to check any bug or loophole present, which could lead any information or data to lose. For example, if there is a website with a payment gateway, so then these web analyzers check if sufficient authentication and authorization present of the site. This web application uses SQL injections, denial of services, URL manipulation. So in this category, we will use Burp Suite most of the time. If there's a WordPress scans, it's also widely used in the market. SQL Map is widely used for performing SQL injections, for performing different SQL-based attacks. So this is also widely used. But we will mostly focus on Burp Suite. It's industry standard tool. So if you want to perform dynamic analysis of security testing, this is one of the best. So if you want to start a tool, you need to press on here, and it will start the tool, right? Okay, it's starting right now. Okay, so it has started. We need to accept permissions. Okay, so it's a complete package of intercepting requests from client to server, and manipulating requests, adding different parameters, or performing specific brute forces or directory based attacks. So this is widely used in the industry, and we will use it a lot in our next modules. So We just want you to familiar with these tools. We just want you to know the purpose of these tools, so you can know that you should have idea of why these tools are being used. Database assessment. Next category is database assessment. So these applications are made to access the database and analyze it for different attacks and security issues. These assessments show some opportunities for improvement and changes. So these tools develop a report of the analysis done on the database system. They perform configuration checking, examining user account, privilege and role grants, authorization control, key management, and data encryption. So SQLite database browsers, SQL maps, these will be used for performing database assessment to find out if there is any loophole, any vulnerability, or any misconfiguration on databases. Next and most important is password attacks. So these are basically a collection of tools that could handle the word list or password list to be checked on any login credentials through different services and protocols. Some tools are word list collectors and some of them are attacker. Some of the tools are, you can see there are Zeus, Crunch, Hashcat, Hydra, John, Medoson, and Crack, word list. So there are like a lot of word lists available. If you are going to perform offline attacks, there are tools for that. Offline attacks mean you have the hash, you have the key, and specific hash file, and you want to perform, a brute force to find out, the actual key from that hashed file. So you will perform offline attacks. Online attacks can be performed on online portals, which are, you don't have the hashes, you don't have anything offline, and you're just, there's a login portal or anything available online. Then you will perform online attack. Then there's a passing the hash tool. So there are like a lot of tools to perform these kind of attacks as well. Password profiling and word list. So they're like, if you want to generate a custom word list based on specific patterns, so it will give you this crunch tool. I have widely used this one. I'm mostly use this crunch tool to generate word list based on specific patterns. So you just need to give it a specific pattern and will generate a complete word list based on those patterns. Next category is wireless attack. These tools are wireless security crackers, like breaking Wi-Fi routers, working and manipulating access points. Wireless attacks are not limited to password cracking. These are also used in information gathering and knowing behavior of victims over the internet. So for example, the victim is connected to a compromised access point or fake access point. Then it can be used as a man in the middle attack. Some of the tools that you can see right now, Aircrack, Fern, Kismet, PixieWeb, PixieWPS, Reaver, Firefight. Bluetooth tools are also available, 802.11 wireless tools. So Aircrack and Ghostwisher are the widely used. They have been used widely in this from the Kali Linux, but I think Ghostwisher is not available right now in Kali Linux. It has been removed, but Aircrack is still there. But you can find a couple of tools. There are like a lot of tools available in the market. So, but these comes with the pre-built Kali Linux virtual machine configurations. These tools will be already available in that image, which is available on Kali Linux official platform for the virtual machines. Next is reverse engineering. So I will just define reverse engineering first. Reverse engineering is basically to break down the layers of application or software. This is used in creating cracks and patches for different softwares and services. This tool reads the source code of the application, understand its working, and manipulate according to needs. So I will give you an example. Like reverse engineering tools are used by high-end companies to know the logic and idea behind the software. Like you just, you perform, you crack, different. You analyze the source code. First thing to analyze the source code, and then you completely, you work on the logic that's being used in those tools, in those packages, and idea behind the software. So some of the tools that you can see in the reverse engineering are Clang Plus Plus. That's some kind of Metasploit I haven't used here, but you can also see there's a Retari too. So these are the package available in the reverse engineering, but I think we need to upgrade our Kali Linux a bit more to to get the full packages of Kali Linux. Like I think there's some packages missing. I can't see I mean, I can't see APK tools, only DBGs. So there are like a lot of tools that are missing. So I need to go to the full version of Kali Linux. So I will show you how we can do that as well. Then there's next category is exploitation tools. So these are tools used to exploit different systems like personal computers and mobile phones. These tools can generate payloads for the vulnerable system, and through those payloads, information from the devices can be exploited. For example, the target system is compromised using payloads over internet or installing it if physically accessible. Some of the tools that you can see on your screen right now is Metasploit Framework, MSF Payload Creator, that's also part of Metasploit, Searchploit, Social Engineering Toolkit, SQL Map, Crack, Map Execution, something like that. But we will focus on Metasploit. This is you can say this is, I think, this is one of the best. It's being used on every exploit. Mostly, I mean, 90% of the exploits that are being used or sessions being created, C2C, command and control, and things like that. So it's widely used in those kind of things. So we will discuss about it. We will show you how Metasploit can be used to create malwares, create payloads, create specific, you can say specific files to perform these kind of tasks, like finding information from the target, like using it as a virus or malware, you can say. So we will create different malware files types, and we will exploit target from the Metasploit. We'll create the session, we'll create we can do a lot of things from this tool. So we will use this tool a lot. So you need to get familiar with this tool. You need to you just need to find out a couple of information. If you need to perform research, you need to work on this tool to understand how the things work, how the malwares work, how exploits work, how we can exploit a specific target based on things available, based on information that you've gathered in the previous year. So we will use Metasploit a lot. So in our next module we'll talk about it, we'll discuss about it, we'll use it even for our penetration testing tasks. But till that, you need I want you to look at on different online platforms to find out more about Metasploit and information available about Metasploit. Like there's an open source, like you can go to the Kali Linux website, and there will be information available related to that. So just read about it, and then we will, obviously, even if we don't, we will discuss in detail. We will use this tool in detail to perform specific penetration testing tasks. Let's move on to next category: sniffing and spoofing. So this basically means secretly accessing any unauthorized data over network is it's basically called as sniffing. Hiding real identity and creating fake identity and using it for any illegal unauthorized work is spoofing. So IP spoofing and MAC spoofing are two of famous and mostly used attacks. Some of the tools that you can see right now on your screen: Wireshark, TCP dump, Scapy, Responder, NetSniff, MITM proxy, Minicom, MacChanger. So you can see that if you want to change MAC address of your workstation, laptop, or your device, that you can use MacChanger, and then you can also use spoof your IP as well. So we will use these kind of tools a lot. Wireshark, this will be mostly used in our network security related tasks. We'll analyze the packets coming in, going out of our network. This gives a complete transparency over your environment. So we'll use this tool a lot in our upcoming modules. Post-exploitation is basically these tools use backdoors to get back to the vulnerable system, maintain access to the machine. As the name suggests, these are mostly used or useful in after an attack has previously been made on the victim's machine. For example, after an attack, victim removed the vulnerability from the system. In this situation, if attacker wants to access data again, the vulnerability has been removed, but we still want to maintain access, we still want to access the data on our target's device, then these tools are helpful. Some of the tools are Metasploit Framework. You can see, okay, so we can see there is a PowerSploit, Proxy Chain, Starkiller, Wavely, PowerShell Empire, Netcat, Mimikatz, Impact, and X to X. So there are like a lot of tools available here, and we will use a lot of tools. We'll also use Metasploit for performing these kind of tools. The most famous of these tools is PowerSploit, which you can see here, and this is which is being used for post exploitation work. And next is forensics. So these tools are used by forensic specialists to recover information from any system or storage devices. This helps in collecting information during evidence searching for any cybercrime. So if there is a cybercrime that has happened and we want to find out information like how the things have happened and how uh, how the actual attack has happened, how it has been exploited, and how the information has been breached or data has been theft. So these tools, autopsy, you can see on your screen, binwalk, bulk extractor, hash deep. The most famous tool is autopsy. I mean, it has also been used by security forces, many judicial and investigating officials. So this has been used by even government officials, and most of the time for performing any kind of forensic, this has been widely used. So we'll discuss about it a lot as well in our upcoming modules when we're performing penetration testing to perform, and then at the end when we'll be analyzing forensics as well. Then next, reporting tools. After all the assessments and vulnerability testing, analysts have to report all those, to the client in an organized and authenticated way. So suppose you have performed information gathering, you have found a couple of information, you have found vulnerabilities in vulnerabilities analysis, you have found information in web application analysis, database assessment, password attacks, wireless attack, reverse engineering, exploitation tools, sniffing, spoofing. So you have found a lot of information in all those categories when you're trying to perform attack on a specific target. Next, the most important thing will be to make a report, make a detailed report, so you can show it to the organization who will give you the task to perform these kind of penetration testing. So some of the tools you can see: Cherry Tree, Cuddy-Cap, and Faraday Start, Maltego. People record my desktop. Most famous tool out of these is Faraday, which is which is used for the reporting most of the time. But we'll also discuss about all other tools as well. And next is social engineering tools. As the name suggests, these tools, these tools generate similar services that people use in daily life and extract personal information using those fake services. So these tools use and manipulate human behavior for information gathering. For example, phishing is one of the examples of social engineering. In this, a similar looking homepage of any social platform is created, and then login details are compromised. So basically, in this we are going to create a couple of fake pages, couple of fake login pages, couple of other fake services to as per the human behavior. We after observing the human behavior, like if the person is vulnerable to specific things, we'll create specific pages and exploit target using those pages. Social engineering toolkit. You have obviously heard about it. If you haven't heard about it, we will talk about it a lot, because this is it's almost impossible to hack machines in this time. So most of the time attackers, I'm not saying it's impossible. Obviously, you can. Everyone. There's like every day when I wake up, I can see that there's 100 vulnerability coming into the market based on the packages and services running, and patches are also being released on daily basis. But most of the time, it's very hard to attack on machines. It's very hard to perform attacks on machines. So most of the time, attackers targets human. That's a weak link, as you have known. The human is most, it's the most weak link in this whole thing, whole interaction, whole communication. So you can exploit it. You can make him or her vulnerable based on their experience, based on their specific vulnerability. So you just need to observe their pattern, and then you can create pages. You can create fake Wi-Fi access points. So we will discuss about it in our upcoming modules. So in this module we have, we have discussed a lot about these things. We have discussed about all those categories of tools which are available in Kali Linux. And I mean we are going to use all these tools in our upcoming assessment. So thank you very much.